I know there are disabilities, but I try and talk on the points of your mindset and not letting your disabilities stop you.
This is Running for Real, the podcast for runners who know that for every runner's high, there are just as many lows. All those just missed PRs, easy runs that feel hard, injury blues, and more. Each week, we'll talk to running, health, and wellness experts about their highs, lows, and best advice to build our confidence. Running for Real is about being honest, being brave, and most of all, not feeling alone. And now here's our host, who loves a romantic comedy, Tina Muir.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode 104 of the Running for Real podcast. If this is your first episode of listening, thank you so much for being here. It is great to meet you, and I'm really excited to have you. If this is your 104th, welcome back. Thanks so much for listening. Last week, I had Dr. Ray McClanahan, another cool name, on the show. And what did you think of that? I was surprised when I put a post on social media hinting at it, at the amount of people who seemed intrigued and excited about the conversation, but it probably wasn't what you expected. Hopefully even better. I thought that conversation was incredible, and I've loved seeing your feedback of what you thought. You can go back and listen if you haven't. Seriously, go do it for your own health. Now today I have one heck of an inspirational guest for you. This guy's story went viral last year, and I knew I wanted to have him on, but I wasn't sure he would be interested. Turns out he was, and we had this wonderful conversation you were about to hear. Justin Gallegos made history last year when he became the first professional athlete with cerebral palsy. Remember the video from last year where Nike presented him with a sponsorship? It brought tears to my eyes, and many of yours, I'm sure. Absolutely amazing. And as you're about to find out, Justin is just as inspirational and just wonderful in person as you see in that video. Now, before we get to the interview, I just wanted to let you know about my Boston Marathon meetup that is happening on the Sunday before the race. And it will be at 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. at Tracksmith. That's 285 Newbury Avenue, which is about a block from the expo, so nice and easy to get to. We have almost 100 people already interested and lots of other superstars and Running for Real fans for you to come meet and get to know. So come meet me and join us for some fun conversation and fun tips. I cannot wait to meet you there. I will be sending more information, more details. So sign up or send me an email, I guess, at tina@tinamuir.com. Let me know that you are planning on coming, and I will keep you posted. Now, let's hear a quick word from our wonderful sponsors, Aftershocks and Generation UCAN, and we can go meet Justin. I am excited to welcome back UCAN as a sponsor of the Running for Real podcast. If you did not hear me raving about them in the past as the only fuel I would use in a marathon when I was running all my best times, UCAN is a superstarch made of complex carbohydrates that deliver steady energy without the sugar, which also means without the sugar crashes. Nobody likes those in a race. You can get 15% off at generationucan.com using promo code TinaMuir. This episode is sponsored by Aftershocks, the award-winning headphone brand best known for its open-ear listening experience. Powered by patented, best-in-class bone conduction technology, Aftershocks headphones sit outside your ear so you can hear your music and your surroundings. Aftershocks is a must-have for runners, providing the ultimate level of safety and comfort without compromising sound quality. To learn more and save $50 on Aftershocks endurance bundles, visit tina.aftershocks.com. That's tina.aftershocks.com. Justin, I am so excited to have you on the podcast today, and especially as this is your first podcast ever. So welcome to the world of podcasts, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for having me. I've always wanted to be on a podcast, so I'm excited to be here.
I don't know if you want to say that. It might be one of those be careful what you wish for things, because you might get all the podcasts coming at you and you'll have every hour of your day scheduled. So be careful with that wish there. Well, maybe after what's coming this weekend as we are recording, which we'll talk about in a minute. But firstly, you got a bit of a name for yourself. Your story went viral recently because you became the first professional athlete with cerebral palsy. But for those who don't know, have no experience, no one they know who has cerebral palsy, what would you like to say, or what would you explain it as?
I would explain cerebral palsy as something it has a wide range. It's a very, in a sense, diverse disability, meaning for some people it means they're paralyzed and they're in a wheelchair, and in some cases they can barely speak. For others, it means they're very high functioning and they just walk a little slower. For some like me, I'm somewhere in the middle but lean more towards the high functioning side. I do walk slower. My muscles obviously aren't as stronger as my peers. There are certain things that are more difficult for me to do, and I have a speech impediment, and it's difficult for me to write. So it's a very diverse disability, one that it's hard to, I guess, look at someone and know. Because with one of my friends, I didn't know he had CP until he told me. That was the case with my RA my freshman year.
Really?
He didn't really know until spring term when I told him. So CP is a very wide range disability.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, is it something that kind of, builds up over time? Is it something that your parents kind of noticed fairly early on? When is it, again, a wide range of when it kind of the onset is?
Yeah, I was technically born with it, but I wasn't diagnosed until I was about 3 years old because I didn't walk until I was 3. So my parents knew there was something different, something odd, something, I guess you could say, something wrong, and they diagnosed me with CP.
Okay. And within this kind of, growing up with it, I'm sure there were many challenges that you had to kind of work your way through. How did running come into the picture? Was it something you recently took up? As that's kind of what the media has shown, that it's this new thing. But is it something that running was always a part of your journey? How did it come into it?
Well, running wasn't really a part of my journey until I got to high school. I started running in high school, and like you said, growing up with CP, and the CP was more present and noticeable even going into high school, because I would walk like with my feet turned in. I would walk duck feet with duck feet, and that would cause me to fall. When I was really young, I used to be in a walker. I used to be in leg braces. I used to fall a lot. I took some karate classes growing up for a few years, but running, when I got to high school, running really gave me the opportunity to get stronger, to get healthier, to just feel like I'm a part of something. And running has improved my quality of life mentally.
Mm-hmm. I would struggle to find any runner who running hasn't improved the quality of their life, which is one of the wonderful things about it. And you mentioned that you got stronger by doing running. In what ways did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I first started running, and even before, I fell a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I fell like 2 to 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I walked with duck feet. I would turn my feet in. I would drag my feet. And in the beginning, I was not yet capable of picking up my feet or my knees. So running at the 11-minute pace was more difficult going slower, because instead of just running at that pace, I was dragging my feet. So it was caused me to fall. And just over time, getting used to those movements and just being out there every day and doing the warm-up, doing the exercises and the track workouts and the speed workouts over the years, it made my legs stronger. I learned my body got used to it. I learned to run straight, and my body just eventually got used to the movements.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I would imagine emotionally and mentally that was a huge thing for you as well, kind of showing you that you could do something hard, and running isn't an easy sport by any means. So tell us about the emotional, the mental side of once you really got into running.
Yeah, once I really got into running really changed my outlook on life. It really showed me what I was truly capable of, and what that I really had no limits. And like I keep telling people, like in the beginning, I never set out to be a motivational speaker or aspiring to be a pro athlete or someone younger people can look up to. But running really did that for me, in the sense it changed my mental game, and it showed me that I'm no different than anyone else, and I have unlimited potential, and I believe I can go the distance, not only in my running career, but also in my life.
Yeah, and you have definitely been proving that by kind of the way you've been living your life. And you said you didn't set out to be a motivational speaker or someone that people would look up to you, but you have absolutely landed your way there. And just one more thing before we kind of get on to some of the things that you have done. When you decided you wanted to take up running, what did your family and friends think? How did they react? Was that something they were encouraging, or were they a bit like, oh, I don't know about this?
My family was very encouraging, especially since going into high school, I wanted to play football. I wanted to try and get on the team. They were very encouraging of me taking up a sport that was less likely of me getting hurt. especially as someone who has CP and who has a seizure condition, just getting hit would raise some risk factors. Mm-hmm. It was a big relief for my parents, especially my mom.
I'm not surprised.
But my dad and my mom were very supportive, and as well as the coach. He welcomed us out. He told us we were more than welcome to come out and see what we think. And then my coach, he always supported me in high school. I feel like all my coaches, they pushed me just as hard, if not harder, than anyone else on the team.
And how did that feel in itself? I mean, this is me presuming things, but I would imagine most of your life it's been very much kind of, oh, be careful, don't go do that, oh, you don't want to hurt yourself. How did it feel having someone kind of being like, you know what, you can do this, and pushing you a little bit? Was that kind of refreshing to have that kind of experience?
Yeah, that felt really good, because you're right. You know, growing up, I feel like I was, in a sense, sheltered. In a sense, people were a lot more concerned for my safety than they are now. I mean, people obviously still care about me, but in the sense, like, I think back then, my parents and other people, they just didn't know. Like, I wasn't an athlete as a kid. I didn't do a lot of extracurriculars. And I didn't really get to do regular PE. I did regular PE in junior high, but I didn't really do regular PE in elementary. I did APE. So it was in elementary and junior high where I feel like people were more concerned for my safety than they are now. So when I got to high school and as time went on running, it felt like a burden was lifted. Like, wow, people are actually pushing me to challenge myself and do better, rather than say, hey, it's best if you not go do that. You might get hurt.
Yeah.
And even now in college, that's a freeing spirit, liberating thing to not have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure that is the case. And it, you know, I obviously got to see a little bit about you and your running within your college career. And I will put the video that kind of gives a bit more of a story of Justin afterwards, but I don't want to kind of ruin things for people who don't know. So the next step was you started getting involved with Nike, of all brands, the master of them all. Tell us about how that came about and how you ended up meeting Phil Knight, of all people.
Yeah, I mean, so it kind of goes back to my coach. He's the unsung hero in all of this. I mean, in high school, everyone knew that U of O was my dream school. I had the sweatshirt, the gear. I just loved Oregon. I loved the culture of distance running. It just, I loved it. I had the opportunity to come visit Oregon a couple of times in high school, and I just fell in love with it. We were originally planning for me to attend a local state school because the out-of-state tuition cost is just way too high.
And where are you from?
I'm from Santa Clarita, California.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
And so once my coach found out I wasn't going, he actually contacted the guy who is now my Nike manager, the guy you saw in the video, because he had sent an email a few months prior just saying, because he saw an interview I did with this track company called FlowTrack.
Yeah.
FlowTrack, I'm sure you're familiar with it. And he just saw an email my coach randomly and said, "Hey, I saw this video. That's a great kid you have. You're lucky to have an athlete like that. And I hope he comes here to Oregon." And so just kind of appreciation mail, like nothing of the sort. So a few months later, my coach emails him back and asks, "Is there anything you could do to help get Justin to Oregon?" So he came back and offered to gather a team together and start fundraising for my first year at Oregon. And since I had a disability and I was coming to Oregon, they brought me to Nike and they showed me around, and they actually put me in the first generation pair of Fly's running shoes. So ever since day one, basically, I've been helping out on this project, and I've gotten to see the Fly's running shoe grow, evolve, and it's a really wonderful thing to see something I helped work on now on shelves in stores across the country.
I might just have you pause you for a second and have, so you mentioned, the FlyEase technology and the FlyEase shoe. So tell for our listeners who don't know what that is, what did Nike make there?
Yeah, so the FlyEase is based off the shoe, based off Matthew Walzer. He designed it. He wrote a letter to Nike a few years ago asking Nike to design him a shoe with the easy on, easy off technology. And it was originally designed as a basketball shoe. And 2.5 years ago, we started working on a Fly's running shoe based off the Nike Pegasus model.
Oh, very good.
And we eventually started working on the Nike Revolution Flies, which are like training shoes.
Okay.
So I got to be a part of that, running those shoes I get to give insight to the team, just help make them better, help improve the quality. We're always trying to improve the rubber compound to improve the road life, add like a double layer, or just overall improve the shoe.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say too much because I know
secrets.
Get in trouble. Corporate secrets.
Yeah.
But we're adding Pegasus 36s are in the works.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't want to get you in trouble by telling us any more than you're allowed to, so
Yeah.
I'll let you off the hook there. But I want you to continue with your story. So you had this fundraising page set up, really wanted to go to University of Oregon. What happened next?
Well, we raised a decent amount on there, but we raised enough for about 70% in the first year. So we went ahead and committed to U of O. I said before, I got to go up to Nike and just meet everyone and just be a part of that rich culture, that Nike history. It wasn't until about November 2016 where I met Phil Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny. Like, we had done the speaking engagement and we were going back to the running lab to get some shoes or something. And like Phil Knight's office is right next to the running lab. So like you can turn your head and peek into his office.
Is it so big that you can even see him in there? Or is it a decent size?
Well, the secretary area, the waiting room area is huge. So we look over and John, he's like, I think Phil is in. Let's go say hi. And I'm like, wait, seriously? He's like, yeah, let's go say hi. So we asked the secretary, and she's like, yeah, sure, I'll go see if he's available. 2 minutes later, Phil comes walking out and got to talk to him and shake his hand and take a picture with him. He's a really great guy. I look up to him not only as an athlete, but also as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. He really revolutionized Nike and this company, and just he's a very smart man, and just the impact he had on this world is just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He's a hero, and I haven't really got to see him more again since I haven't seen him since I signed, but everything he's done for the sport, this company, it means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of cool that he came out to meet you, and I'm sure he knew all about you and what you had done, for being a role model as well. And I'm sure he was a moving part in the force of what happens next. So I didn't realize that you'd already kind of been working with John Truax. That's his name, correct?
Yes.
Before this happened. What was that?
Yeah, the media, I don't know, it says his name is John Douglas, but that's not exactly true.
Okay, well, now we know his name is John Truax, not John Douglas. So if you're any of the media outlets are listening, get your story straight. But tell us about what happened that day. I want to start with when you were at one of your, it was either practice or a race, but let's kind of hear your side of the story. And then I kind of want to know what was going on in your mind throughout the various parts of the day. So tell us what happened first.
Yeah, so I've been working with John ever since I met him back in June of 2016. He's been overseeing my involvement with Nike. Mm-hmm. He's a really good friend, and he's been a rock for me, and he's making sure I have everything, and he's really been there for me in every way, and he's been a coach. He's been one of my mentors. He's a really great guy. So I think him along with a certain group of people, they begin to see how involved I was in the Nike atmosphere. So I think they started pushing for me to get a contract. And, like I say, with something like with Nike, you think like, oh, that'd be so cool to happen.
Yeah.
But, with a company like Nike, everyone's so busy. There's more important priorities, and you just don't. Not that no one cares. There's lots of people up there who are behind me in my story, but they're just, you can only assume there's more important things for people to work on and do. So I knew they were thinking about signing me, but I think the reason why it was so emotional is because it was actually happening. Yeah. Like, I didn't think it was gonna happen.
Yeah, and I just want to pause you and say, for anyone listening, if you have not seen, I think it's Runner's World, is it, that did the video?
The video on my Instagram.
Oh, you have one on your Instagram. Okay.
No, the main video was made by my friends at Elevation Media.
Elevation Media, okay. I will put a link in the show notes to them. Okay.
Elevation Zero Media.
Okay.
But yeah, Runner's World did make a video of their own.
Okay. So I will put links to, or we'll put both of those in the show notes so people can go watch it. But go watch it if you have not already seen this video of Justin being presented with a contract. It is just incredible to see, like, will bring tears to your eyes, if not streaming down your face. Just amazing to see, you going through the all of the emotions that kind of come with that. And for most of us listening, I mean, we can imagine how emotional that would be for a Nike contract, because like you said, they're the kings, So yeah. For you knowing, where you had come from, what you had kind of been through and getting to this moment must have just been incredible. And when did it dawn on you that this was maybe what was happening? Like, did things seem a little bit off that day? Like something was going on? Or when did you realize, oh my God, this is happening?
I think it was when he said one of your teammates has been working really hard, and I would like to present when he said that. Because John's the insights director. And I thought he was just gonna talk about shoe testing. So I wasn't really expecting the contract. Like I knew he was gonna be there to watch, but I thought when he gathered everyone, he was just gonna talk about shoe tests.
Yeah, well, he turned out you were wrong there. An absolutely amazing thing to turn around. And, you did sign with Nike as the first professional athlete with cerebral palsy. And you've gone on to do some other things with them. There was a breaking 2 video with Kipchoge that was really cool to see, him trying to break 2 in the marathon, you trying to break 2 in the half marathon. So tell us, firstly, before we go on, why 2 in the half marathon? That's a goal that many of my listeners can relate to, because I know many of them have that same goal. So why that goal?
Yeah, I decided on wanting to run a half marathon last year. I felt like I was ready. I did some research. I found out there wasn't really a record for someone with CP. But I decided on wanting to try and do it under 2 hours. So, did lots of training, and I'm very happy with my time for my first half marathon. I did one over summer, and that didn't really go as planned or that well. The course was so, but I'm coming back. I'm going to do Eugene 2019.
Great.
I've been putting in lots of miles, so I'm feeling good about this one.
Yeah, and your PR in the half right now is 2:03, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so very close, and yeah, I think we'll all be behind you for that next one later this year. But as the time we're recording this, you actually have your first debut race as a professional athlete, being the Dempsey Mile this weekend. So tell us, you just mentioned the half marathon there. Why go kind of the other end of the spectrum and race a mile?
To be very honest, I like longer races more than shorter races, but I just sometimes enjoy keeping a healthy balance between like track and field and longer races. I've always preferred cross country over track, longer distance over track. Lately, I've been kind of nerding out about trail races. I really like trail running. There's lots of good trails here in Eugene.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I got invited out to a 50K later this year, so I might do that.
Wow.
I might do the crazy thing and run a 50K before my first marathon. So, yeah.
Well, you won't be the first person to do that. Some people like to do it that way, and it will take the pressure off as well. I think there's a lot more pressure in the marathon. And on that note, have you felt any pressure? This is a great question from Sally, who wanted to know, do you feel that there's any pressure on you not only to represent Nike, but also other athletes with a disability?
No, because I love representing Nike. I don't feel like now that I'm signed, I need to change my game or change how I operate. I've always loved this brand. I've always loved Nike. Before I signed, I wasn't someone who wore mixed matched brands. I've been all Nike for almost 4 years now. So it's never been like, okay, now I gotta all wear Nike and gotta force myself to get used to their shoes and their product. No, I love Nike. I live, eat, sleep, breathe, and Nike. Like, all I wear is Nike, and I'm very passionate about it. My goal is to work there. And in regards to people with disabilities, my message, because someone asked me on Instagram, you say that there's no such thing as a disability, but there obviously are disabilities. It's confusing. Well, I know there are disabilities, but I try and talk on the points of your mindset and not letting your disabilities stop you.
I love that. And that's exactly what you are kind of doing, is inspiring other people who do have disabilities to show them, you know, doesn't stop you either. So I love that. And then one final question from another Patreon member, Ken, who would like to know, what would you like others to learn from your achievements as a runner? I mean, is that just the answer we gave just there? You want them to see that nothing is impossible? To take that from Nike, that's a Nike phrase, isn't it? Nothing is impossible?
Yeah. I mean, I hope when my time has come, whenever that may be, I hope others can look at me and go, you know what, he may not have won a gold medal or may not have had many records, but he did what a lot of people didn't, and he proved people wrong. And he didn't let his disability define him. And he did a sport that not a lot of people, even without a disability, wouldn't do.
Yes. So
I want people to remember me. It's hard to explain, but I want people to remember me for my mindset and as well as my running career. And just, I believe you can make a positive impact on the world without being involved in, I don't know, politics or whatever it may be. I believe there is always a way to make a positive impact on the world without
going down dark paths. Well, you are absolutely doing it. So
dark or violent path.
Yes, I love that. And Justin, you are 100% doing that. So keep that up for sure. We are just going to take a moment to thank our sponsors, and we'll be back with the Running for Real 4. You met my new sponsor at the beginning of the show, and I could not be more excited to be sponsored by Aftershocks for this episode. Now, full disclosure, I was totally skeptical of these. How are you supposed to hear your podcast or music when the actual headphone part is not in your ears? And what the heck does bone conduction technology even mean? Well, it means there are small transducers that rest in front of your ears, not inside or on your ears like most headphones, and they send these mini vibrations through your cheekbones to your inner ear, bypassing your eardrums. Wait, vibrations that go through my cheekbones. As someone who is prone to dizziness, this doesn't really sound like a recipe for fun. And I was expecting to hate them. And yes, my exaggerated hate is totally required in this way. But friends, let me just tell you, I was wrong. Totally and utterly wrong. I absolutely love them, not just for listening to podcasts or music during my runs and also just during the day, but I can actually have a phone call with my business coach while I'm being able to see and hear Bailey. They are so comfortable and lightweight, you honestly could forget you're wearing them. I even made the rookie error of wearing them for an hour and 40-minute run on my first try, and I barely noticed them at all. Obviously, other than the sound coming into my ears of the podcast I was listening to, which, by the way, it is so cool that you can actually hear cars coming or even birds chirping while at the same time listening to something and running. And my friends, the best part, you as a Running for Real listener can get $50 off a Trex Titanium Endurance Bundle at tina.aftershocks.com. That's tina.aftershokz.com. Go check it out. Okay, can I be honest with you for a minute? I've been pretty judgmental towards Nike in recent years. I'm not even sure why now, but I felt that they didn't care about anything but their bottom line. But after hearing from Justin and just how much input he's having to make a product that is helping make life so much more inclusive for so many, is really warming my heart. Pretty amazing. And I've made it pretty clear that brands who are doing the right thing are really important to me. The ones that do it just for the sake of doing it, being good people, not because they want to look good. That's why I'm very selective about the brands I choose to bring on the show. If I don't get a good vibe from the people I interact with at the brand, I basically tell them that it's not going to work out because our relationship means too much to me. Now, one brand I know is doing the right thing is UCAN. You've probably heard me talking about Generation UCAN in the past, about how it was my only fuel for my best marathon times, about how I ate a UCAN bar every single day during my training, and actually the first few months after Bailey was born, to be real. Now, I did that because I loved it, and you're wondering, why did I stop then? Well, the answer, my friends, is laziness. And the fact, for some reason, I got it in my head that UCAN bars had eggs in them, and I've stopped being lazy. So I'm back to UCAN every day, and I found out that, yes, they actually do not have eggs in them. Bailey is allergic to eggs, and that makes me allergic to eggs for a few more months. So just long story short, I'm back to it and I'm enjoying it. Now, what is UCAN? UCAN is a super starch that gives you a steady energy through complex carbohydrates without sugar. And yes, without those sugar spikes or sugar crashes, which are not particularly fun in a race. UCAN is used by 30 different professional teams and has fueled over 30 of the 2020 Olympic Trials qualifiers in their races, as well as, yours truly, who used it for her PR. You can save 15% off UCAN products at generationyoucan.com using code TINAMUIR. That's TINAMUIR for 15% off all UCAN products. Right, Justin, just 4 more short questions for you, starting with one piece of advice you'd like to give the listeners for life.
Just be yourself. Just never be afraid to take a risk and never be afraid to make bold moves, and your time will come. Just be yourself and always challenge yourself.
Love that.
And soar to new heights, and never forget you are limitless. Don't let others tell you you can do something, or they're afraid of seeing you get hurt just because you're at a slight disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you so much. What a great piece of advice there. One person to follow on social media and why?
I would say Charlie Jabaley. He was on the cover of Runner's World a couple months ago. Charlie, he's a great guy. He's very inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
I follow him. His journey is so amazing. I never met him, but he seems like a great guy who I would want to meet.
Okay. All right. That's a great person.
Yeah.
All right. I'll put links in the show notes so you guys can go follow him as well. We've already covered how do you want to be remembered. You kind of actually already mentioned that in the before the ad break. But what do you tell yourself on the start line of a race?
I get those 7.5 years later, I still get those nervous feelings.
Uh-huh.
But I just picture the finish line, like I'm doing for Friday. I just picture the movie of the finish line, what I want my finish to look like, and what I want my last lap to look like.
Okay, that's good.
And I just harness in my positive feelings, because all that matters in that moment is the race.
So true. Yeah, love that.
And I think, like, if you can focus all your positive energy into that race, then no matter where you finish, you can be unstoppable.
So true. And you have been, and it's been wonderful talking to you, learning from you, and just being inspired by you, Justin. There are thousands of people right now listening to you and just thinking about just how amazing you are and what a role model you are. So how can people find out more or follow you in the future? What are your social media handles?
I mainly operate through Instagram. People can follow me at Zoom Magic.
Love that.
So
okay, I will tell them to go there.
I post there about 2 to 3 times a week, and I don't, other than Dempsey, I don't really have anything big coming up.
Okay, well, we'll have to follow your Instagram to find out then. And I will also put a link to your GoFundMe page on there as well, because that is still active if you want to help Justin continue his dream of going to University of Oregon. So, Justin, thank you so much for being on here today, for just being such a role model and inspiration to us all. You are truly a treasure, and thanks for all that you've done in this world.
Thank you, Tina.
My friends, if you have a minute and you could leave a review on your favorite podcast player, Apple Podcasts, aka iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Spotify, or whatever else podcast player you use to listen to this podcast, or if you would subscribe to this podcast, you will help me get out in front of new runners to make our tribe even bigger and even better. It might not seem like you as one person can make a difference, but really it helps a lot. And it shows me you appreciate the hard work I put in for those. Thank you so much. His first podcast, I can barely believe it. I will not be surprised if he has more coming in the near future. Justin mentioned to me after the interview that his dream is to be on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I was thinking maybe we could do our part to help with that. Could you tweet or tag Joe Rogan in a post and ask him to have Justin on the show? Let's see if we can be the one, you the superstars, can help us, I guess, do this for him. On that note, if you are enjoying this podcast, could you share it on your social media? Tag me, Justin, and Joe Rogan if you like, and whoever my guest is on the show. That's the best way for new listeners to find the show, and I appreciate it so much. You can find links to everything we talked about today in the show notes at tinamuir.com/episode 104. And remember to send me an email, tina@tinamuir.com, if you're going to join us for the meetup in Boston on April 14th. I really look forward to seeing you there. Now, next week, we have one of the best known runners in the US. Ryan Hall is on the show to talk about his running career, life since his running career, and his new book. And friends, honestly, I wasn't sure how Ryan would be. I thought maybe he'd be really guarded with his answers. But once again, this being running for real, and he was real, sharing things I was actually pretty surprised to hear. Be sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast player to get it right to your phone or tablet next week. Until then, have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the Running for Real podcast. Be sure to check out teamnamure.com for show notes and even more helpful running information.